this is Rachel and welcome to another episode of Lift and Sketch with Christy and Rachel. Today we are taking on that amazing scrap lift from Anna Commenda for Scrapbook Workstat, which is, I want to say it's German. It's an online scrapbook store, and Xanthi is joining me here because I started talking. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. When you're doing a starburst or sunburst layout, it can take a little bit of pre-planning, but I've found a way, not that, it was my, I didn't come up with this idea, I found it from someone else, to do one that's not as hard to do. So before I do that, in my last Lift and Sketch video, I talked about a little something special coming up at the end of the month. We are going to be having a contest. We do have a brand new sketch by a special guest who will be providing us with that sketch, and there will be a prize, two prizes actually, one from me and one from Christy, and so for you to play along with, and you're going to be given plenty of time to do it. I'm not one for giving a little bit of time. You'll have almost an entire month to work on it, so please make sure you stay tuned on, I want to say March 31st, March 30th or 31st, and for a special episode of Lift and Sketch with Christy and Rachel. All right, so doing a starburst or sunburst, the easiest thing to do is to make a template. For me, it may not be the easiest for you. So I have this piece of really bright yellow cardstock that I'm like, I am never going to use this cardstock. You can use a regular piece of paper if you're doing a smaller one. Sorry, my dog freaks out when I start talking to the camera and she starts running around looking for who I'm talking to. So we call it tap dancing. So my paper, I wanted it to be larger than 8.5 by 11, so I just took a piece of cardstock I was never going to use. So what you do is you choose where your photo is going to start, and then I just lifted it up and made a little X. And then I took my ruler, and from that X, I circled around and drew lines. So now I'm just going to cut it out using some scissors, and then I'll have my template. Okay, so now that everything is cut out, you can, so because in the sketch they're separated from each other, so I wanted to make sure to trim it down 2 inches from the 12 by 12. Now, you might be thinking, are you going to be using this paper, your cardstock, as your background? No, I am not. I have this cut for a specific reason. So, in the layout that we're lifting, there is a lot of sewing to create texture. I don't sew, like at all. So instead, I'm going to bring mixed media in to my layout in order to add some texture, but I want to keep it still within the sunburst. So my idea is to use these to then cut templates into this piece of cardstock to then do mixed media with. What am I going to be using for this layout? I'm going to be using my bag of Felicity Jane. I find Felicity Jane, a lot of her stuff works well together, even outside of different lines. Not every single piece works with every other piece, but in general, they work well together. So inside this bigger bag, I have a smaller bag, and in this I have all of my Felicity Jane scraps, and then I also have all of the embellishments I have. I know I've mentioned this several times, but I just like to do so every once in a while. I do not subscribe to the Felicity Jane kit when she has a sale, so I just follow her on Instagram, and she pops up there when she has a sale. What I do is I go and I buy just the paper pack, and then maybe I'll buy 1 or 2 embellishments from each individual line. But I can also just use stuff from my stash for this: wood veneer, flare, acrylics, enamel dots, just random stickers I have. She works with the very trendy colors, so I usually end up having a lot of stuff available that works well with this. All right, folks, I have chatted at you long enough. I'm going to go ahead and get you put on fast forward, and I will obviously talk you through what I'm doing. I'm gonna drink my tea and get started on this layout. Don't forget to go on over to Christy's channel, check out her take on this lift. I'm sure it will be super amazing. And don't forget to come back in 2 weeks and check out our special, specifically drawn for us sketch that we're going to do with a special person, and she's also going to provide us with the prizes, so that is super amazing. Well, we're paying for the prizes, she's going to be supplying you with the prizes, so ruminate on that if you will. All right, folks, I'm going to get you put on fast forward and get started with this layout. Okay, so let's get going with this. This is an exceptionally long video for me. It's almost 22 minutes long, and it's just, there's a lot in it. There's a lot to prep for it. There's a lot of steps for it. So I apologize for those of you who like to keep it to about 12 minutes. Just couldn't do it with this particular one. I'm going to start off by trying to pick a background page. Now I have these two different choices, this black and white mini, I believe they're little hearts. I can't tell from my little preview screen, but I believe they're little hearts. And then the other one, which is a pink tone-on-tone pattern. Now, finally I decide I'm going to go with the pink one, and what I'm just going through is all my scraps that might work for the sunbursty pieces, that they're the right size, they're the right color, they have some good tones. And now what I'm going to do is, I know I need 6 of them because I have 10 pieces, I marked them out, and I know 4 of them are going to be for mixed media. So I'm laying them out in that starburst pattern just to see how they look. I want a good mix of colors and sizes of patterns and different styles of patterns. I decide that gray is too much, but I like the pop of black with this floral, and because it's a smaller version of a formal floral, I do like that. So that red floral is also another formal floral, but then that blue flower in the upper, that will end up in the upper left hand corner, is a much more casual flower. So now I'm matching them up with what will work with their sizes, what will work with the shapes, and I've got those all set. So I'm going to put aside, oh no, am I going to do this first? Okay, first what I'm going to do is mark out spaces for uh, my stencil for my mixed media, and then I cut them out with an X-Acto knife. As I said, they're not perfect. I'm not the world's superest cutter on the planet, so good enough works for me. Once I get those down, I am going to just kind of give a template of what I'm doing, and then I am going to trim them out. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the side with the number, that's the front side, against the back side of what I want for my pattern, and then trimming it out. So I am going to cut ahead once I get to a certain point, and then I'm going to mark it again on the back side of what I cut out, so that way I can make sure if I move it, I know where it goes. So even doing all of this, I get a little messed up because I was using the wrong piece. Eventually, I managed to work it all out, and I skip ahead to when all of my pattern paper pieces are cut out, and now I am inking them all up with Hickory Smoke Distress ink. When you're using different colors or different lines, it's something that helps just keep everything all looking similar. It also helps with creating depth, and since there was a lot of texture in this layout, it really helps to do that. So here is where I grab my second piece, or my first piece of mixed media, my second piece of paper, and I have it at the wrong angle. So I'm very confused on how I'm like, wait, no, this is my first piece. This is the correct way it's supposed to go. Why isn't this working? So I I was like, why isn't this working? I don't understand. It doesn't, why won't this line up? So finally I'm like, ugh, I go and grab the other yellow piece of paper. Uh, that was the original template that I cut apart to get all my shapes. And I'm just like, okay, I will just use this. I know this is correct. I realized it wasn't until afterwards I realized I had it turned the wrong way because it's an isosceles triangle, that particular piece, or, that type of triangle. Um, it just looked similar, but it wasn't the same way. And I managed to do it again because I'm awesome like that. So once I get it all lined up one side, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Now I'm going to go and speed through the next part, but I did want to show you this all because in all honesty, it is not the world's easiest thing to do. I would not do a starburst layout as a go-to layout, but when you have a photo, or maybe you only have one photo. In this particular photo, I have a 3x3 photo. It was originally a 3x4, but I trimmed off the top to make it a square photo. And it's not the world's best quality because it's like a compressed file. My friend took it and then uploaded it somewhere, and then when I downloaded it, it didn't download at full file size, so it pixelates when it gets too big, but it's an important to me photo. So I wanted to definitely have that highlighted. So for me, this would be like a special photo that I'm layouting. And I have it all together now, and I'm super excited and yay, awesome. So now I'm going to start my mixed media. I'm going to start off using Shimmer's Paints Pasties, putting on the glitz, which is a clear glitter. So I'm going to add different colors. Rose gold red is the first, and what I'm going to do with the rose gold is do different um, amounts, so it gets two different shades. I'm then adding Jenny B Blue, and then I'm going to add Tuscan Sun. Now, I'm going to end up adding another color to Tuscan Sun because it isn't exactly the color I want. Now, the stencil I'm going to be using is the Dot Fade from the Tim Holtz collection for Ranger, and obviously this is a stencil I like quite a bit, as you can see by the multitudes of colors. So I'm going to get my page prepped up. I'm going to use some washi tape I have and just kind of put it down over my stencil just to keep it in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the paper just so that stays in place. Now, once I get going with this and I show you how I do the first one, I'm going to jump in and out um, doing the different colors and everything, simply because in working with the texture paste, I have to go and rinse off my stencil each time. So obviously I am away from my desk for quite a while, and I didn't want to leave you sitting there. This video is long enough. So I'm starting off with this rose gold, and I put just one spray. So it gives it a lighter pink color because adding it to the putting on the glitz, even though it dries clear, it does lighten it just a little bit. And then I don't have to rinse it off in doing this one, but I do make a couple mistakes using the mixed media. In one that I forget where I'm putting my colors. So in knowing that I'm just going to do a darker version, I put my stencil down here on the bottom one, forgetting it's not actually where I wanted the other pink to go. So in this one, you see I sprayed far more pink. I'm looking for a darker tone, and that's when I realized, oh, that's not where I wanted the pink. When I pick it up, it does leave some pink there. I'm just going to put the blue over it. You can see through a little bit, so what I end up doing is just adding a little bit of stickers on top of it just to kind of mask it. And so you will see that at the end. As you can see here, I have jumped ahead to putting down my Jenny B blue, and now I'm jumping ahead again, and here's where I'm mixing up that Tuscan Sun, and it's just too light, so I do add some Sunset Strip, which has more of an orange tone to it, but as I said, this does lighten it up a bit. I put just a little bit of it, and when it's dry, it is just the absolute perfect color that I wanted, so I was super thrilled with the way that turned out. So all my mixed media is almost done, and when I pick it up, I realize I made another mistake where I went over just a little bit. You know what? I'm totally fine with it. It looks fabulous. And look at all the glitter and shine you get from the putting on the glitz pasties. Super, super fun. There are tons of photos at the end where you can see that glitter, and also you don't see the stickers I add to cover my mistake until the last photo at the end. So if you want to see that, please make sure you hang out all the way till the end. Now I'm going to go ahead and double map my photo. I'm first going to start with that multicolored triangle piece, which is more bold, so I give it just a little matte. And then I'm going to finish it off just to keep it separated from the background because the background is so busy. I use that very tiny floral pattern, so it reads mostly as white. And then I also use some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals to raise it up literally, so it definitely has a position of awesomeness. All right, it is time to embellish. So what I'm doing in the original layout, she had one or two larger pieces per sunburst area. I've decided because I used bolder patterns, I'm going to use smaller pieces and only on a couple of the starbursts. So I'm starting off with the die cuts from one of the lines. I don't remember which one that came from. Now I'm going through some stickers. I have that black and white scallop. I've got that black and white heart. What I'm basically trying to create here is a bit of each of the colors and a bit of each of the textures in each of my embellishment groups. So I want a die cut, I want a sticker, I want a chipboard piece, and at the end I'm going to add a thicker sticker to each of those areas. I also want a bit of each of the pink, the yellow, the blue, and the black and white. So that is my goal, to have my layout be balanced. So as I said, I started off with those die cuts, and now I have these die cuts are from the Willow collection. Now I love the Willow collection, but it has that dark teal that is not in any other of the Felicity Jane collections. So I was in love with that multicolor ampersand, but that dark teal really wasn't in any of my other pieces of the layout. I tried pulling in that dark teal scallop piece, but in the end, neither one of those is going to make it on my layout. So what I'm doing now is I'm just choosing what's going to go in my embellishment clusters. So I have these chipboard arrows and I have these die cuts, and that's where I decided that just isn't going to work. Instead, I bring in that black and white bow. So I want to make sure I have not just black and white, but a bold black and white, because I have some, like in the upper right hand side of the photo, I have that white sticker with the black stars. Now, even though it's black and white, it's not heavy on the black side. And right now, I just replaced that scallop piece on the lower left with from the dark teal to the black and white. But once again, it's heavily white with just a little bit of black. But I wanted to make sure in each of those clusters, there was a piece that was heavily black, not just black and white. Now I added that little heart words speech bubble sticker to the top that helps bring, even though I wanted the photo to be elevated, I did also want to keep it part of the layout. So by adding that, I felt it really brought the photo into the layout. I did skip ahead as I glued everything down because they were basically just glued down in the same place I originally had them. And now I'm adding these epoxy hearts. And then I just cleaned up a little bit, so I cut that out. And now I'm going to add just the last little bits of my layout. So I'm going to add some puffy stickers. These are from the Willow line. And then I'm going to finish off with some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. So since I'm almost at the end here, I just want to thank you guys for joining us here. I don't want you to forget to join us in 2 weeks to hear about our special contest that will be going on. You will have a bit of time to take it. There will be some prizes, so stay tuned for that. And make sure you go on and check out Christy's take on this lift. I will put a link to her channel in the description box below. So I am just going to continue on talking about my layout for a little bit. I was trying to figure out, I needed some yellow in that upper left-hand side. I finally decided that the chipboard sun would work well. And I had thought to be using that love banner from this Amy Tangerine thicker stickers, but I decided instead that the word lucky worked better. So I'm going to pull some gold hearts from that as well and just do a little bit of journaling. And as I said, the last thing I'm going to do is add some gold Heidi Swapp Color Shine. Stay tuned through the end. You will check out some photos, close-ups, where you can really see how much this is super glittery, and then also a couple more stickers I added under the word lucky to kind of hide the fact that I messed up with my mixed media. Thanks so much, guys. I really love how this turned out. Have a great day, everyone. Bye!